The City of New York. Built in 1863 in Cleveland, Ohio, and originally owned by the Northern Transportation Company of Cleveland, Ohio. Now, when this vessel was constructed, she was actually originally built as a wooden passenger steamship. And with that being said, she would spend her time transporting passengers, freight, and cargo across the Great Lakes. This would be very common for a vessel of her kind during this era. Now, the City of New York's original hull dimensions when she was constructed would be a length of 134 feet, a beam of 25, and a depth of 11. She would also have a gross tonnage of 395 tons. She would be constructed out of wood, and she would have 2 decks. Along with her high-pressure steam engine, the City of New York would also have 1 mast. Now, the City of New York would have quite the history to her. On November 19th of 1867, she would founder and be taken to dry dock. On June 11th of 1870, she would break a piston on Lake Erie and be towed to the Genesee River. On October 14th of 1876, she would actually founder off of Sand Beach, Michigan. Following that, in 1877, the City of New York would strike a schooner named America on Lake Superior. Both of these vessels were heavily damaged in this collision. Again, on November 24th of 1879, the vessel would strike a sandbar outside of Ludington, Michigan, and sink again to be raised later. Along with all these accidents, the City of New York would also come into different ownerships throughout her history. Finally, on 1882, she would be rebuilt as a steam barge. Now, the age of wooden steamships across the Great Lakes was fast coming to an end, or at the very least, they would be considered obsolete, and they would be making way for the larger, bigger steel freighters that would soon start popping up all over the Great Lakes. This transition of older wooden barges to larger, bigger steel ships would also serve as a conversion for these older wooden vessels. Many times they would be converted into steamships and then continuing their service out on the Great Lakes. Even after being rebuilt as a steam barge, the City of New York would continue to face accidents and hardships in her service history across the Great Lakes. In fact, on April 16th of 1890, she would founder near Manitowoc, Wisconsin. Following that, in 1891, she would be rebuilt and then receive a new ownership on April 21st of 1896. Finally, after many more ownerships, the City of New York would receive her final owner in 1921, and that would be of John Randall from Sealy's Bay, Ontario. However, 1921 would also mark the end of this vessel. Now, this next section of the video might be a bit harder to pin down exactly what happened to the City of New York in her final moments on Lake Ontario. The sources that I was able to find about her give conflicting accounts, and it's a bit scattered. One source states that on November 25th of 1921, she may have actually collided with a schooner named the Oliver Mowat. However, it also says that she may have foundered in a gale off of Main Duck Island on Lake Ontario. Either way, evidence does seem to suggest that she was, at the very least, caught in a severe late-season storm out on Lake Ontario in November of 1921. It does remain unclear whether or not she collided with another vessel out on the lake, which would end up causing her sinking, or was it just the storm herself? We may never know. But what is important and is worth bringing to light on this vessel and her story is the tragic loss of 8 lives aboard her. May these 8 lives forever be remembered and honored with respect from this video. One last small piece of evidence here I did find about her did seem to suggest that her loss and accident may have occurred a short distance away from where a year prior the steamer Randall would have wrecked and sank. And that is the story of the city of New York, a once passenger steamship and then a steam barge. Well, everyone, I first want to start off by saying, today's episode is a bit smaller or a bit shorter, but I came across this vessel recently here in my searchings and investigations and digging for always new stories and always new vessels, and this one struck me as I could find a good couple of photos of her, and I did find some. Well, you would think with all the information on her accidents that kept piling up with her and happening, that it would be a bit more clear as to what exactly happened to her. I mean, the source that I have in the description below says November 1921. I believe it was the 25th. It said that, which this isn't a far reach. Of course, she gets caught in a gale, late season gale on the lake, and then sinks or founders. But then it also throws in there may have collided with the schooner barge, and but to definitively say what happened to her, I can't do it. I'm not sure. It's very interesting. It's very intriguing for me to consider what would happen. I mean, late season storm erupts on the Great Lakes. We've heard that time and again, and these wooden vessels out there get caught in it and they end up sinking, and unfortunately taking some or all of their crew, and and then turning into a big mystery. Whether or not they're ever found is a whole nother story, but let me know what you guys think. If you're able to find more concrete evidence maybe as to what may have happened to her, definitely let me know, and share with me what you guys find, your findings. And I'd be interested to hear and know about that, because I did as much digging as I could and work with the information I have, and hopefully I could bring a small but decent story with her, and always is remembering the lives that were lost on these ships. The 8 lives here that was recorded and said in the sources. So it's worth bringing to mention. It's worth giving this vessel and her crew their song on this channel, and not letting it be forgot to time in history. But again, one more time, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Again, if you're able to find more additional information, I always welcome that, and I want to know, because maybe you guys can find some stuff that I didn't. But I thank you so very much for joining me again on today's episode. Again, I'm sorry that it's a bit smaller, but hey, it's worth it, every single one, and I'm gonna keep cranking some good content out for you guys as always. So I hope you all are doing well. God bless you, and look forward again to the next episode on Songs of the Great Lakes.